It's concerned about the White House now trying to limit the impact of the war on energy prices, which are going up.
If you are not involved, then why are the US still using an air base in Cyprus? And you put in British citizens at risk, British soldiers.
Spain has declared the US is not using joint military bases on its territory for operations against Iran.
Look, if you wanted to destroy the West, would you even need a military? I don't think you'd even need to fire a single shot, if I'm being honest. You would just put the current leadership of Europe in charge and then just wait. I mean, haven't you noticed this? Haven't you watched what these people are actually doing while the Middle East is just on fire? Now, it's seemingly completely backwards. When the people who are supposed to be defending Western civilization decide their primary strategy is just apologizing to the people who seemingly want to destroy them. When they literally invite the enemy inside the gates, hand them the keys, well, what do you think was going to happen? It's suicide. And they're broadcasting it live on TV. I want you guys to take a look at Britain. Keir Starmer. I mean, have you really looked at what he's doing lately? The man is completely compromised. See what he did to mark the Ramadan? He rushed to break the fast with Muslims. He couldn't wait. He could not wait to embrace them and show the world who his true allegiance lies with. And why is he doing that? Because he knows. He knows exactly who led into the country. You got hundreds of thousands of people marching through the capital of the British Empire, cheering for terrorists, waving flags, and, people shooting at American ships. And what do the police do? Do they deport them? Do they clear the streets? No, they arrest the guy who's quietly sitting on the side of the corner holding a British flag because he might, quote unquote, incite violence. I don't think you're allowed to be British anymore. Britain has fallen. It is just gone. And it isn't just the politicians, right? It's the entire sort of institutional framework. I mean, look at what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, right? This is the maritime choke point. In fact, it's the biggest choke point on the entire planet. 20% of the world's oil flows through it. It's the absolute jugular vein of the global economy. And what's Britain doing? What's Lloyd's of London doing, right? The historic backbone of the global maritime trade, right? The actual institution that literally built the British Empire. They're running away. They took one look at the Iranian proxies and they completely folded. They refused to insure the ships. They won't underwrite the risk. The British used to rule the waves, and now they're too paralyzed by fear to even write an insurance policy for a freaking cargo ship. So then what happens? Who has to step up and prevent the global supply chain from completely collapsing upon itself? We do. The United States. The United States has to step in and take a stand to ensure that the ships are protected, are underwritten, are insured. Because if we don't, the entire global economy actually comes to a grinding halt. Energy goes parabolic. Inflation crushes the middle class. So the American government is forced, right? They've got to underwrite the risk because our supposed allies in Europe are terrified, too terrified to do it. We're literally subsidizing their cowardice. We're paying the bill for their moral collapse. And if you think Britain's bad, hold on, because we got Spain up next. They're on deck. This might be the most absurd part of the entire board, because Spain has formally banned the US from using our own joint military bases. They've locked the gates. They've thrown away the key. They don't know where it is. They're publicly condemning the US and Israel for defending themselves. But think about the staggering arrogance of that for just a second. Well, who pays for Spain's defense? I'll wait. Who? You do. The American taxpayer does. When they refuse to fund a serious military, when they won't even pay 2% of their share, never mind 5% that we asked, 2%, when they won't fund 2% without kicking and screaming, when they rely entirely on the American, working middle class to protect them from the rest of the world, what do they do when the shooting starts? Suddenly they've got this moral objection. Suddenly they're pacifists. It's a grift. The whole thing is a geopolitical grift. Now, France is the exact same story, but it's even worse, right? Because they're telling Israel, good luck with that whole defending yourself thing. We're busy managing the caliphate that we built in Paris by importing refugees that, by the way, 85% of them are from Muslim nations. and live off the system and contribute nothing to society, by the way, like to stab people in broad daylight, deal drugs, rape women, rape old women, rape school children. I mean, have you seen what's going on in France? France has fallen. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, and listen, the traditional media doesn't want you to see this. They don't want you to hear this, but you're going to hear it. This is the ultimate act of humiliation. You got Starmer bowing and supplicating at the feet of these Muslims, and you got Lloyds of London hiding under their desk. You got Spain locking the gates. You got kids at like these Ivy League universities cheering for terrorists. Look who's actually holding the line. It's the Muslim nations. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt. They're all standing by the U.S. and the Jewish state of Israel. If you didn't hear me, I said the Jewish state of Israel. They're not issuing condemnations. They're offering back channel intelligence. Even Turkey is entertaining the idea. They're even getting cozy with the idea of entering the war on the side of the Americans and the Jewish state of Israel. Now, I want you to think about that math. The historical defenders of Western civilization are actively betraying their allies because they're terrified of the domestic mobs that they've imported into their nation, while the Arab world, the Muslim Arab world, acting like adults. The world as we know it is completely upside down, and Europe refuses to act. They refuse to stand up for what's moral, and they refuse to protect the Western way of life. I think you got to take a step back. You got to ask yourself, how did this even happen? How does an entire civilization just decide to die out? And by the way, they didn't lose a war, right? This isn't the Crusades. Nobody invaded them. Nobody even fired a single shot. It's just that the people woke up one morning. They decided that they hated their countries. The globalists, we'll call them the globalists. They opened the gates. They threw open the borders, and they invited the entire Muslim world to move in and live on, the public dime. And if you complained about it when you're just a normal working class person paying the taxes to fund your own replacement, well, do you know what you're called? You're called a bigot. They threatened to put you in jail. They literally made it illegal to notice what was happening right in front of your face. Doesn't that sound like a complete and utter betrayal? But guess what? This is the best part, actually. The bill's coming due. The Middle East is one big conflagration. It is exploding. And the world's getting very serious very quickly. And the leaders of the quote unquote free world are sitting there paralyzed. They can't do anything. They can't protect global shipping lanes. They can't protect their own streets because they're absolutely terrified of the mobs that they intentionally imported. And I'm going to use the word globalists again, and I don't mean to scare you, but that is what happened. And it wasn't an accident. You don't accidentally surrender your entire culture. They did it on purpose. And now they're begging the people who hate them for just permission to exist. It is pathetic, and we are watching this happen in real time.